Well, it's the hope that you would have. I thought their last game was their best because we kind of increased the level of competition that they played in. They were able to get to the right side of the ice. I think Ryan Lomberg drives those force lines in good ways, and Stenlund's game has changed a little bit because of it. Ryan gets in on pucks. Stenlund has become more physical in his game. Both of them now are killing penalties, so all three of those guys have done that before, which usually is a good sign of a good defensive concept in their game. So if there's physical in their concept and you got a couple guys that can skate, you should be all right.
Looking at Sam Reinhart, I think he leads the forwards in minutes right now. Obviously, Barkov and Tkachuk get a lot of credit, but what does he do so well that makes him just such a good all-around player? We can pretty much use him anywhere.
Well, I think it's the game. He's an elite processor of the game. If you want to know what happened, you just have to talk to him. He can tell you what the other team's doing, what your team's doing. Hyper-competitive guy, too. You know, a quiet man, but very, very competitive in the way he plays, the way he prepares. He came to camp in incredible shape this year. So he really does all things, and a lot of them are just really smart things to do. He's very easy to play with.
Only 3 games outside, I know, but with Sourdif, how have you seen him sort of start to settle in up here?
Yeah, I think there's a curve to all. They have a training camp, young players, and they have to push very, very hard to do it, and then they get into the regular season. It's a completely different beast. So they almost have to go back and relearn everything again because the pace is so much faster in the regular season than an exhibition, and he's doing that. So I didn't get him on the ice very much last game when you're chasing it. I wanted to get some minutes on some of the more proven scorers, but he's in that role kind of where Sam was, that if he's in the lineup, well, we're playing to win those games, and if he's going, I'll play him a little bit more, and then if not, he's probably not going to sit around and watch a lot of hockey here.
Speaking about Steven Lorenz's line, just from your perspective, how nice is it to have a fourth line that's just been so reliable that you can throw over the board?
I feel that way probably by game 25 last year. We had the exact same thing, and it was critical. We had a lot of different pieces because Stahl wasn't in, I think, the first 16 games. Then we lost Patrick Hornquist, so we had to have, Nick Cousins went in there, and it was real good. And we had a game, and it was a game actually at home here in San Jose where our fourth line, in my mind, won us the game last year. And we're starting to build toward that. As soon as those guys get a very good predictive ability with each other, what's going to happen next with the puck, especially coming through the neutral zone, where's it going next? They started to play faster and faster. They're all very strong men, so physically they can get in and get pucks hemmed in and get on the body. But it's really about line speed, and so much of that would just be their being able to predict what happens next.
Are they a really good fit for your style of winning?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we are an aggressive forechecking team. That's truly what our strength is, and they should be able to do that. So they continue to stay physical. I think they've gotten more physical as the games went on, and we need that from them. I don't know where the ceiling is for them yet, truly. Like in the third period, I changed the matchup and ran them against the other team's best, and they were good with that. So they handled that well, and it gave us the opportunity to have Luosterainen and Barkov not play against the other team's best, and we were able to get 2 goals off it. So having a fourth line that can check is a huge advantage.
What kind of challenge does playing a team like San Jose offer? Just, again, a team you don't see very often, be a young team that's trying to figure things out.
I think that's the challenge because you don't see them. Everybody has a different style is so much based on personnel, and there's the structure of the game that they play, and you don't see them very much. A lot of times we seem to see them early in the year too, so they're still developing their game. We are. I've always found them to be quick and unpredictable, and not in a negative way, but part of that is we just don't see them play very much, and you never really get a good handle on the style. But young players that can skate, you got Anthony Duclair that can skate. They've got a lot of really good quickness. So we don't want an open ice game with this team. It's not that we have to grind everything all the time. We just want to make sure that we don't give them room to skate.
And Anthony, like you talked about last year, him being in all the meetings, even though he couldn't play, and being around you and the team, and then comes back at the trade deadline, able to play, and it seemed like he gave you quite a little bit there early in the playoffs.
He was good for us. It's such a difficult injury for him to come back from, and he did. And sometimes one of the most important things you do for a team is put other people in better places to play. And when he came back, We eventually had, Nick Cousins go in with Bennett and Tkachuk, and it let us put a third line, if you will, that was very, very good. So he gave us more depth that allowed other players to play with better players.
And just him off the ice, though, as a person.
Oh, man, big smile. We loved having him around. There are guys that get injured that you want in and out of your building by 9:30 so they don't bring everybody else down, right? He was the opposite. We just wanted him around so much. What a wonderful joy for the game and laughter, and that part we certainly miss.
And how much of an impact did he have on the community as well? He was so invested in.
Yeah, I think that's Duke's got a huge heart on him, and that's part of why people are attracted to them, and the players kind of all enjoyed him so much. He's very outgoing, but not outgoing in kind of a heartfelt way in terms of what he would do for charities, what he'd be willing to do when Addie asked him to do something. Big-hearted fellow for sure.
Coach, we tend to focus on players who are scoring goals and racking up points, and for obvious reasons. But has there been a player or two that started out this season who's making a big impact on the ice, but maybe hasn't necessarily, lit up the score sheet yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that will be Nico Mikola's calling card, right? He scored though, right, which is a big number for and that's a big deal. He's not up the ice like that very often. But in terms of eating minutes, right now we are scratching and clawing a little bit on our back end, right? We've got hard matchups and we've got big minutes on those guys, and he would be the player that would come in because he's not going to put a lot of numbers up, you would know, but he's been really important.
I know you usually defer to Tally when it comes to the goaltending questions, but just in terms of the thought process behind getting Stolarz in there eventually, because I know you've been going with Bob.
He's going tomorrow.
So what's the thought process behind getting him a start then?
Well, a lot of it is, I think Sergei's had 2 or 3 really, really good games, like mid-season form that he's right. And then you also want to have a block of time if Bob thinks it's 5 days. So we push him a little bit, he gets back and dial in his game a little bit, and then we're going to get into a really heavy push. So what's ahead of us matters. What we've just come through, the original schedule just kind of said we wanted to get Bob to a certain place, and I think through Jersey and really his last 3, we've got him to where we want to get him to. He's ready and he's right in the season. We're going to play basically 16 games in a calendar month coming up, and we're going to go to the West Coast, and we've got 2 sets of back-to-back. So there are 2 heavy parts to our schedule. This is the first one. The next one comes at the end of March, where we're going to need both goaltenders. We'll have to dip into the farm system at some point too, because we won't stay healthy through it.
And with Stolarz, just seems like he's had a great attitude. It's always smiling.
Just a veteran pro goalie who loves coming to work, works hard in practice, big man. He's got it figured out. Backup goaltenders have to get the players to love him, and if you do, they'll block shots. They'll do everything for you, and he's done that.
It's been the same 6D for the first 5 games of the season.
Yep.
Is there a thought process to maybe put Mike Reilly in one of the next 2
Yeah,
games?
I want there to be a reason. Like we're not in rotationary time right now, I don't think. And there are 4 defensemen I'm probably not taking out regardless. And Uvis has been good, and I could take him out or Mahura, who I don't want to in that. So it's a little tougher for Mike right now. I think I've always been more patient with pulling defensemen than forwards. You can flip a forward in and out pretty easily, and if you don't like maybe what the new guy brings, it's not a problem because you got 12 of them, right? And you can find ice. And the guy that I'm going to give the ice to is Tkachuk or Barkov or Verhaeghe, so you can cover. Pulling a defenseman, eventually Mike's going to have to go in because he's going to need the game for sure. Confidence is important for our blue line right now, and I don't really have an argument against Mahura or Balinskis, and the other 4 are staying in.
Has Uvis's performance in the first couple games of the season, has he moved up in your depth chart?
We'll go back to the last 2 exhibition games as well, for sure. And maybe, I don't know, moved up, because you can only give him a certain place when you don't know the man. So now he's played regular season games, he's played well, and he is a legitimate player in this league right now, and I don't want to block that. I think critical that he keeps getting reps.
I mean, how surprising is it for a guy to come into the North American game after being in Europe for so long and adjust that quickly?
So it's a little, I don't know if you get a big advantage being 27-ish, right? Because you're filled out, you're as strong as you're going to be, and you've been through enough difficult times in hockey that you can mentally handle that. The challenge then is that you've been playing pro hockey of a certain style for basically your whole pro career, right? Making that adjustment. But his individual style of game back home, it looked like you could fit the NHL game. There's some quickness there. There's some puck movement there. He is physical here because the rink's smaller, but he was willing to be physical there when he had an opportunity. You can't run around over there, but he's been for a skilled guy, and he's a skilled guy. He's got lots of bite and he's got lots of intensity in his game, and he has been a surprise that you know. I watched video on him. That's all the pro scouts who figured that out and found a guy, and they've done a marvelous job. He's an NHL defenseman.
Any other lineup changes tomorrow?
Possibly.
I didn't see
I haven't. You know why? The reason I'm not trying to be. I just haven't had the conversations with the players. If I'm making a change, I've got a guy that wasn't feeling great today. I may have to wait till tomorrow to find out if he's feeling great. So, I usually, I do. I will always talk to the player first before I let it out. I'm not trying to be coy. I haven't talked to the players yet because I don't have all the information.
I didn't see Sam Bennett out there with the main group. Was he out there with the guy?
Correct. Yeah, skated hard. I think we'll be looking for him Thursday.
Just want to get him into a bigger practice, a full practice.
2 full ones for sure. I think that there's a chance that Gadovich will be in that practice Thursday as well. That's what we're hoping for. What happens over the next 48 hours, we'll see. But that's what we're shooting for.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.